Hello and welcome to the first round of the 2023 season of Rony's Tuesday Fun Race Extra Large here in Live for Speed with, for the first in a very long time, the FXO Turbo at Rockingham ISSC. In order to find out which track we last used the FXO at, you have to go all the way back to 2020. And the last time we used Rockingham ISSC was also in 2020. So a very, very old combo. We haven't done this for a long time. Owen's not here this evening, but joining me, Peter Butcher, alongside me in the commentary box tonight is not Owen Harmon, it's Miika Sarkinen. There we go. Miika, how are you doing?
Good evening. I'm doing pretty well and excited to be back. It was Christmas last time I was in the commentary box, so let's see how this goes.
Absolutely, yeah. You were doing Crashmas alongside Jonathan Palmer. I didn't even ask you how that was, so give me a 5-second summary of how Crashmas was this year.
It was awesome. Plenty of action, so it was kind of easy to follow.
And your time's up, but that was a good summary, so thank you very much. Good. Well, a bit different tonight, RTFR XL, and yes, we have another series, another 12 rounds to look forward to this year. Let's have a look at the calendar for the season. Tonight is the only round we have confirmed, of course, because the winner of this round will choose the combination for next month's race on February 21st. Another 12-round calendar finishing on December 12th this year. And we are going to have an awesome year, Miika, and you're going to be joining us for as many rounds as you can make it. Owen should be here from next time as well. It's going to be another fun year, especially at Rockingham ISSC, a fantastic track with a very difficult car. The front wheels of this car like to eat themselves up, and we have 51 laps, not 46 as reported there, laps coming up today at this track. We've had 60 minutes of qualifying almost over. I think we have 3 minutes remaining. So let's flip over to the track and see how the drivers are faring at Rockingham ISSC. Miika, we have a healthy grid of cars here. We've got Vitalis Lugutskas leading the way. He doesn't normally take the start though, so I think he's just setting these times just to have a bit of a flex on everyone else. What do you think?
Yeah, it's possible. He does that pretty often, but who knows? Maybe we'll see him race and it'll be fun.
Yeah, so Rick Cardle, we think, will probably be our pole sitter. Like I said, Lugutskas doesn't normally start the races for RTFR, but we'll have to see. Rick Cardle's on track at the moment. He's lining up for what looks like is going to be his final lap. You can tell he's lining up because he's going quite slowly. We've got a car off the road in Tarzan there in the gravel. That won't be going anywhere fast because the front wheels just cannot get this car out of that gravel track very easily. And here we come up to the final set of corners for Mr. Rick Cardle. And for the first time in a long time, we're going to see an onboard in an FXO Turbo. Here he comes out of the final corner, spooling up all of those turbo, all those revolutions. Little tap of the wall with the rear quarter panel of the FXO as he crosses start finish. And it's a very easy line through down into turn one. The cars are going to use all of the apron. That is allowed in qualifying. You can use all the apron you want. You won't enjoy the sight of a few cars up ahead of him who need to get out of the way. Rick Cardle is on a timed lap. We've got a WCL car there on pretty much the apex. First corner at Rockingham ISSC is the Dean hairpin, a tricky double left-hander. Then we head right into Yentwood, a tricky right-handed 90-degree uphill corner with a nice big sausage curb on the right. Then we go into Chapman, another sausage curb on the apex there. Rick Cardle slightly wide of the apex. Then we go into Piff Paff. Actually, we're only using Piff today as we head through onto the short run of the Steel Straight, which is here. Then into Gracelands. Chuck it in, down a gear, get the car over to the left-hand side, and then get the power on as early as you dare. Don't run onto the grass there; it will pull you off. Car up ahead, assumedly a race green car, moves out of the way as we head into Tarzan. Late entry, early apex for Rick Cardle, nice and square in the middle. Put a couple of wheels over the entrance of the school pit lane as we head down towards the final couple of corners at the end of the lap. The final chicane, really, really difficult, especially in these cars. And as we enter the final corner, it's a very, very nice chicane from Rick Cardle. Can he do enough to put it on outright pole? He hasn't used all the exit, but he's going to use the middle of the road, shorten his run as much as possible up to start finish. Across the line he comes, and it's an improvement, and he takes outright pole, Miika, by 1/100th of a second. Fantastic.
Well, that's a close call.
Yeah, I mean,
I think
Yeah.
that ensures that Ricardo will be the pole starter, since Lagutska's probably not even going to start. But even if he didn't, he's on the second position now.
Well, a very big thank you to Rick Cardle for saving that lap for the end of the 1 hour of qualifying we've had. We were very lucky to be able to go on board with him for that. Sorry to everyone else who was in that qualifying session. We didn't see you at all. But, such is life. Get better. Rick Cardle, what a lap, a 129.74. And just got a few cars coming across the line. We believe that T-Bug will be the final one to come across the line. Here he is. He's still lagging a bit, Miika, after his outing a few weeks ago.
I hear he's had trouble with his network for quite a time. And the same was going on yesterday when we had the AWS series and we were in the oval. It was kind of interesting race against such a laggy car.
Yeah, a little bit unfortunate, but what can we do? We'll wait for him to come round as we talk about that stunning lap from Rick Cardle. It looks like Antti Valter will join him alongside Rick Cardle on the front row. We've actually got Oscar coming up to the end of a lap as well. Let's have a look at him as he comes down to the final chicane. Yeah, nice entry. And coming up to the final corner. It's possible that Falcon for Race Green may have also squeezed onto a lap. He's gone into the pit lane, so he won't finish. Here comes Oscar across the line, and it's P20 for him at the end. Let's see if T-Bug has jumped his way. Whoa! Third place, Miika, for T-Bug.
Yeah, I was watching that from my second monitor, and I think that might be a disqualified lap because he just got the last chicane completely. So.
Oh, okay. I mean, my surprise comes at a little bit of a cost then. He'll probably be disqualified for that or banned from the server. He's been banned from the server. Oh dear me. Well spotted, Miika, else I would have been singing his praises for that lap, because that was a stunning lap time that came basically out of nowhere. As we train our cameras onto Rick Cardle for a short time, he is our provisional pole sitter. We'll have to see if he takes the start himself. He probably will. He usually does. But yeah, let's get the full classification of our qualifying results on screen now. Rick Cardle in 1 minute 29.74 sets the fastest lap ahead of Yes Motorsports Vitautas Lagutskas, going under the alias of Lacunas here. Then it's T-Bug, who is now banned from the server for cutting the final chicane. In fourth place, it's Antti Valter, who will be promoted up to the first row of the grid. Then we've got Ona in P5, Sidus Munke, without a Y today, for Joni Katila in P6, Fatal in P7, Twin Cam P8, Pablo for Furtive Racing in P9, and Master Race Cars Texas rounds out our top 10 that's actually going to become the top 8. Igor will be in P9, Jari Katila in P10, and then the rest of your top 20 are as follows: Timu Soini, Lorenzo, Michael, Gabor, Falcon, Magic, 3Jump, Oscar. Breath while we switch over to the next page of results. We've got Pekka Koivunen and Thamuli, your top 20. Then it's Rony, Oil Burner, Omega 54, Yasin. Then we've got Nex, T-Nol, Ram, Grankvist, and Olbul, the top 34. And they should all qualify because they're all within the 107% cutoff. So we're going to get 30 or 29 cars starting this one, Miika, for 51 laps of ISSC.
Yeah, really looking forward. Glad to see this big grid for the whole race. I hope as many of these will start the race as possible.
While we have a bit of a break before the start of the race, we've got 6 minutes to go before the start of the race. Let's take a look then at the championship standings from last season. They were quite interesting, Miika, as it transpires. Let's take a look at those right now. We've got Fatal on Fatal won the overall championship, as you can see there.
That's pretty solid from Fatal, over 40 points difference to Ricardo in second place. Yeah,
it absolutely is an absolutely mega mega time there. Rick Cardle in second place. Then it's Unite in P3. Rony got himself a P4. I don't know how high up Rony's managed to finish in his own series, but P4 is pretty respectable. Then it was Pekka Koivunen, Thamuli, Asker. Well, Thamuli, your teammate actually, Miika, came in P6. He must be pretty happy with that.
Yeah, he's done a pretty good job through the whole last year.
Yeah, he did. He drove a pretty great year, didn't he? Then we've got Asker in P7, Lugutskas finished in P8, Jari Katila P9, and Lorenzo in P10. We have a whole bunch of screens to go through on this to get to the end of the list. But we had a nice number of drivers taking place. It was Number who finished in P21, and as we keep scrolling through these names here, we can see that, yeah, it was really good to have a nice big grid, a nice big field for the 2022 season of RTFR, and we hope that we can repeat the size of grid that we had hopefully we can repeat it this year. 80 drivers in the end who finished the championship with at least 1 point last year, Miika.
Yeah, that's a pretty good amount of racers there, so it's great because then it means there's always competition at like every level, so it's very nice to see.
It is indeed. Let's see who is going to be competing for the overall win today. We have a notable person missing actually from the qualifying results. I'm not seeing any Nico Pantolas around.
Yeah, you're correct. I wonder where he's at the moment.
Yeah, Nico, he didn't really score in the RTFR Championship last year either, but I didn't know. I think I somehow expected him to be here, but never mind. Let's not worry about who isn't here. Let's worry about who is here. We've got Rick Cardle, setting the pace straight away for Sidus, and clearly Sidus are going to want to score well in RTFR in 2023. Gabor was the second best Sidus driver. With the main Sidus tag, we've got Joni Katila double teaming in P6 there. It looks like for WCL, but yeah, we've got a good broad number of teams entered. Once again, it's going to be a good one. All right, 3 minutes to go before we grid. What can we say about Rockingham ISSC? Well, first of all, I think it's personally a travesty that this track isn't used anymore because it gives us fantastic racing. I know that some of the drivers don't really enjoy it because it is such a big challenge, especially for such a long number of laps. We're going to be racing for around about an hour and 15, an hour 20, we expect. So buckle up because it's going to be a front tyre killer. Miika, this car, it chews through its front tyres here.
Yeah, it does, and I got a little bit of inside information that we might want to keep an eye on, like on the front tyres if people are actually going to change them on the pit stop, because it might just wear out like too quickly to last the whole race.
Yeah, I mean, the drivers have to make a pit stop anyway. They have to make a mandatory 10-second stop in the pit lane. In order to do that, they may decide to change the tyres as well. Yeah, so they have to make a mandatory 10-second stop. Luckily, it's going to be very easy to keep track of the corner numbers here because all of the corners in Rockingham, have corner names. So I always like coming back to Rockingham because it's very easy to work out where the drivers are. Also, because all of the corner names are actually written on the walls, so it's nice and easy to keep track for everybody. Yeah, the drivers are just doing some last-minute warm-ups before we get going, and yeah. Just should mention before we do begin that we still have sign-ups open for the 2023 edition of our Soccer Cup. If you want to play some car football in Need for Speed this weekend, then find 3 of your mates and sign up on the forum, the LFS forum at lfs.net. Teams of 4 kicking off this Saturday for some qualifiers and then the main broadcast tournament on Sunday. Please sign up at lfs.net in the Sim Broadcasts Soccer Cup sub-forum. We'd love to have you along. And yeah, Miika, are you going to be competing in that?
Probably not. I've got a lot of stuff going on, so can't be quite everywhere.
Well, I'm afraid to say I regret asking you, but there we go. Don't let Miika put you off, ladies and gents. Get a team signed up. Miika, what are you doing? Anyway, 1 minute to go before the grid. I put you on the spot there. I knew you weren't signed up. I don't know why I asked, but there we go.
It's a good conversation anyway. So
yeah, we're going to talk about RTFR again now. RTFR XL as well this year, of course, being sponsored by the very generous World Class Lions team. €150 going to the driver that wins. So yeah, yet again, World Class Lions with their generous sponsorship of the RTFR Championship. Here we go, Miika.
Let's go. Yeah, the grid. And we're waiting for the lights to go on.
We are indeed. We're not going to get them from that camera angle, unfortunately, but what we are going to see is the 27 cars who are sat on the grid. We do have a Rick Cardle on pole. We have Antti Valter next to him in the bright Astra Red FXO. Owner made it up to the second row alongside Fragmasters, Fatal, and here we go then for 51 laps of tyre burning action from Corby in Middle England as we head down to turn number 1. All the cars already using all the apron. They're not giving any time away. I think that's allowed on lap 1. I don't think you're allowed to use the apron at all after lap 1, but we'll see what the drivers decide to do. It's RTFR after all, anything goes. Down to the first double left-hander at the Dean Hairpin. We've got Fatal running wide, losing 3, 4, 5 places. And it's Owner making a move around the outside of Antti Valter, or trying to here, Miika, as they run into Dean.
Yeah, got a clean start, nothing going on the back either. Fatal lost a couple places there, unfortunate, going wide. But he's going on inside.
He's trying to get back through after losing a lot of places. Oh, it's been shoved off at Piff. It's a disaster for him. But as we're heading round now into Gracelands, he's still side by side with who is that? Is that Magic that he's side by side with?
That's Magic going on.
Yeah, absolutely. There we go. Well, he's trying to push it all the way around the outside. And it looks like he's going to make that stick into Tarzan. So good job. But as we swing back to Rick Cardle, he's had a very, very comfortable start. Antti Valter under a lot of pressure from Owner. Owner, the Turkish driver who's making a name for himself, certainly, improving his results race on race last year. We've got Rony in a side-by-side fight here, just about, with 3 jump. As we've got a couple of cars already going into the pit lane, and one of them was the Fragmasters driver. That's Fatal, deciding to go and do his pit stop early. We've got Rony Magic and Fatal in the pit lane, doing their pit stop on the very, very first lap, and we've got Rick Cardle on the apron again. So all rules go out the window. Fatal's put some fuel in.
Nothing new that we see Rony going on the first lap, but for the other guys, this is quite extraordinary. Usually they leave it later on the race.
Yeah, you want to leave it a little bit late to the end of the race. You don't want to necessarily give up track position too early, but Fatal had already given up track position with the bad start that he got down into the Dean Hairpin. We ride on board here with Owner as we head through Piff. And again, you can already hear the drivers they're doing tyre management straight from the get-go, Miika, because as you mentioned, you think that quite a few of them are going to change tyres before the end.
Yeah, the front tires, it takes 1 lap to get warm, and the second lap they might get overheated already. So you got to be careful with them and try not to wear them too much.
Yeah, Jari Katila is fighting with Lorenzo. Lorenzo goes for a big move into Tarzan. There's contact, and that's forced Jari wide and allowed Michael Malik now to sweep through on Jari Katila. Jari won't have enjoyed that at all, being passed there by 2 cars with a bit of a bump and run. I do love the cameras here at Rockingham. They're based pretty much entirely on the old British Touring Car Championship camera positions, which I love, and I miss it a lot.
Yeah, I never really watched that myself, but I can imagine there was probably some quite good races going on. Absolutely. This track it is fun track to drive, I got to admit.
Yeah, sat in the main grandstand, it was certainly a spectator's track. You could see the whole track from just your seat. You didn't have to go anywhere, and you could enjoy everything. You might have needed a pair of binoculars to see the battles going on at the back of the circuit, but you get an overview of the whole circuit from your vantage point, which is always great. As we switch back to Antti Valter, who seems to be fairly surely placed in P2 right now. And the gap up to Rick Cardle is creeping up ever so slowly. Rick Cardle is a dab hand at the FXO in LFS. and he's proving it yet again here today. Owner dropping back slightly from Valter, and that's allowing Twincam, who's got a little bit of a spring in his step recently, Miika, who he seems to just be on a charge in every single race he does.
Yeah, he's been doing pretty well here. And apparently I can speak. I don't know which words to produce, but yeah, we'll keep going. As Pablo is looking for a overtake possibly here.
Yeah, he's trying to line up one of these guys out of the final corner. The 30th Racing drivers caught up with Igor here, and he's, the two ahead were squabbling so much he couldn't get the power down at all.
Yeah, that's unfortunate, but he might get a little bit of slipstream and try to punish it on the first corner here, on the braking.
Yeah, Igor's going for a move up the inside, and let's see, that's Texas, who's now on the outside, going into Dean. He moves across, sees Igor, and then has to kind of get out of it, but Igor's got through. Can Pablo follow as well? This is a battle for P5. He's backed out, so Igor makes a place, and Pablo's being backed into Lorenzo here in the bright green and white RTFR XL livery in the background. Michael Malik thinking about going for a move on Lorenzo, surely not into Yentwood there. Sorry, Chapman. And as we head into Gracelands now, Michael Malik is all over the back of Lorenzo.
He's very hungry, looking for that overtake position where he's going to strike.
Yeah, this is a crucial place to do it, isn't it?
Yeah. Tarzan is one of the most technical corners in the whole Live for Speed, so that opens up many possibilities for sure, but not this time from Michael.
We've got Falcon side by side with Jari Katila, race green versus WCL, and it is Jari who maintains that position for now and can follow through on Michael. Goes up on two wheels on the exit as we've got a car going into the pit lane. I believe that was Pekka Koivunen for World Class Lions, and he's got a drive-through penalty, Miika. He's sped in the pit lane.
Unfortunate.
We've got Falcon and Jari side by side. Yeah, take it away, Miika.
Falcon going on for the inside of Katila, and let's see who will outbreak. And it's all neck and neck. Falcon goes and pushes Katila a little wide. Katila needs to yield and loses the place in the end. That started from the whole last corner. They went all the straight, like neck and neck.
They've done half the lap side by side, but that battle is over for now. Jari Katila will have to settle back into P10. Falcon P11 for Jari, P10 for Falcon. Up ahead of these guys, it's getting pretty close. Michael Malik still on the back of Lorenzo, trying to find a way past. But it's a nice little group forming there. We've got Igor in P5 leading this little train. It's definitely a train I think Texas wants to get past. Breaking down into Tarzan, and Igor's almost dropped a wheel on the gravel. Oh no, he has in fact, and he's gone round. So crucially, and Igor's retired from the race. He's left the race. So was not happy with himself about that incident. He just dropped a wheel too deep on the brakes, went into the gravel, spun it round, and that he feels is the end of his race. So unlucky for Igor as we switch back to Twincam, who's not letting these front guys get away from him. Only 2.5 seconds to Rick Cardle, and we have a pretty tight group at the front of this race.
Yeah, they're keeping up pretty well behind Rick Cardle here. There's not really battling going on, but they're just following each other and keeping up with the pace, which is quite remarkable when you think about Rick Cardle's performances in the past. He's been quite good, like overperform everyone else oftentimes, but not today.
Yeah, I used to love racing the FXO in LFS. It's such a difficult car to master in races that are slightly longer than sprint racing. You have to manage your tyres so carefully and look after them. It's crucial to look after them. Winning races in the FXO is one of the most is one of the most satisfying things you can do in all of sim racing. It's such a difficult car to learn and to drive well at, I think. So as we head through Chapman, we've got a battle at the back. This is for P18. We've got Olbul, Noel, and Yasin in this one. Yasin and Noel using the red FXO. Sorry, it was Olbol leading that trio. My mistake. And Grankvist in the other red FXO. We had Yasin in the green LFS livery there. LFS World livery, I think that was. Yes, it is. And Fatal, having done his pit stop already, finds himself down in P22. Well, he won't enjoy coming out in traffic like this with cars.
He wants to get past of these guys as soon as possible. He's gonna lose time a lot if he's stuck here behind them.
Yeah, his only solace is that it's a long race, and he's managed to get a run just right now on Grankvist there. Sorry, yep, that's Yasin, who he's got the run on. Trying to teleport two red cars is apparently too difficult for me. They're going side by side, though, Olbol and Grankvist.
It's Grankvist ahead, going into the turn one. And Fatal's going for the dive inside, and can he take all three places in one corner? Nice. Oh, that's a pretty nice move.
Yeah, he's going to have trouble. He's got Grankvist on his inside, and Grankvist run deep and pushed Fatal
actually
wide.
Bumps pretty hard.
Yeah, that was quite a hard push, wasn't it? And now Fatal's still on the outside. He's going to try and run it around the outside, and he's clear now, so good effort there. As we've got Michael Malik going for a move onto Lorenzo into Tarzan, and this was a battle that we thought was going to come to the fore, and it has, and Michael's through finally on Lorenzo. I think he's been waiting to do that for a while.
Yeah, he was on the attack for a couple laps there, and finally did it past Lorenzo. And now there's Falcon already breathing on the back of Lorenzo next.
Yeah, he's had a nice exit as well. He's already broken the slipstream. The slipstream is it's not as effective in the FXO. It's a heavy beast, and if you can get a good exit, you're pretty much clean and gone. So Michael Malik will charge down to turn one and try and regroup and see if he can make some gains on Pablo, who I notice has got a little bit of front left damage. Not sure where he picked that up. It will be on his mind. This track is mainly left-handers, so it's not going to bother him that much. But coming into Yentwood now, he might feel a little bit of something. No such issues, it looks like. So at the moment, he looks to be okay as we head on through the rest of the lap. Up at the front, almost 2 seconds now between Rick Cardle and Antti Valter. And, well, has anyone got anything to say to Rick Cardle today? We'll see. It's a long race. Rony on lap 8, as Owner currently sits in P3, Twincam in P4, and I think the battle that's most likely to happen at some point is going to be between these two, because I don't know if you've noticed, Miika, but it looks like Owner has been pushing very, very hard for the first few laps, and maybe his tyres might suffer.
Yeah, Owner might be losing a little bit of his pace already. He's been doing absolute full ahead for the few laps, and Lorenzo's been losing places quite a lot.
Yeah, he got himself stuck in the gravel, so having had Michael Malik get through him, Lorenzo gets trapped in the gravel as we look at him from the camera that we've got perched on the top of the timing tower here at Rockingham. Quite a nice view from there, I have to say. And already down into turn one, Rick Cardle starts lap 9 of 51 here at Rockingham ISSC, a track now defunct, unfortunately, situated in Corby in the UK. Fatal is currently battling with Ram, and Rony and Magic have caught Grankvist and Olbol, so we've got quite a scrap about to happen here.
Yeah, that's 4 cars wide now as we close up to the turn 1, which is a heavy braking zone, so we can do quite a difference here.
Oh, we've got a car locking up ahead, which has thrown off Noel, and Rony's had to go all the way on the inside, he feels. So the car locking up has spooked at least one other car in this pack, and Rony makes up 2 places and sets his sights on the back of Magic, who also made up 2 places in that fight. And Magic actually glued to the back of Grankvist here as they head through Gracelands. Magic in the more opportune position. Rony's going to give him a bit of a bump, is he? Oh, and there's contact between Grankvist and Magic.
Slide from Magic.
Yeah.
That was a scary one, but he managed to keep it all good. And he goes past for that Tarzan here, and he's well around the outside. Or is he? No.
Grankvist slams into his door, but yeah, Magic will have that. He'll have the run down to the chicane. Grankvist won't be able to do anything with that. No defense really necessary there from Magic, as he slightly compromised his line into the chicane. Just needs to nail the exit, and he should be free and clear, just as Michael Malik did a few laps ago, and he's done it, I think. And Rony, in fact, I think has managed to get through as well, has he? Not quite. This will be a fight down into turn one. Miika?
Rony got much more better exit from the last corner than Grankvist got, and they come side to side, and Grankvist spins. Oh, that's a little touch here, but I guess it was a little lag touch, so that just happens sometimes.
Well, I don't know. They're well over 100 miles an hour going into turn one, so being side by side there, someone's going to miss out. But hard into the wall goes Grankvist. Wasn't happy with it, but that is what happens in racing sometimes if you go door to door through turn one at Rockingham. That's Teemu Soini who's coming up at the back. So these two now fighting for last place. Teemu Soini's been through the pit lane already, so he has a significant advantage in terms of time over Grankvist. But we are down to 26 cars. It is Rick Cardle leading by 3.5 seconds over Antti Valter, the Finn. Then we've got Ona, the Turk, driving in P3. Then it's the Irishman, Twincam, in P4 for Born to Race. And we have Thamuli and Lorenzo in the pits. So Lorenzo, having tumbled down the order, is deciding that now is the time he wants to go and do his pit stop. A driver we haven't seen in XL for a little while is Zadoris for Race Green. He's currently been promoted to P13 after those guys pitted. Quite a strong rallycross driver is Zadoris, Miika?
Oh, okay. No, not really familiar with that, but I haven't been up to the rallycross stuff too much to begin with.
Fair enough, as we've got Pekka on Olbel here.
And it's a solid pass before the braking, and that's just easy one for Koivunen to keep up that place. Olbel can't make a counter move here.
Well, he's quite far back for a counter move, unfortunately. Not a good exit from the Dean hairpin. Won't be making any return moves anytime soon by the looks of it. We have actually lost Lorenzo after he dropped down the order and pitted. He's decided enough's enough and will not be continuing in the race. Potentially a botched pit stop strategy. He changed tyres and refueled, so potentially he put too much in or something. I don't know. Either way, Lorenzo has left the race. We are down to 25 drivers here at round number 1 of Rony Tuesday Fun Race Extra Large in 2023. The first of 12 rounds this year, and continuing on in good fashion from 2022 season. Someone who will wish his season had got off to a better start is Fatal, who after dropping down at turn 1 and then pitting early finds himself climbing up the order again in P15, some 41.5 seconds off the lead. Magic side by side with Ram. We're going to see this a lot. Drivers side by side into turn 1. They're just coming past start finish through the first oval corner. Magic dropping down to the apex. Ram staying off the apron. And Magic has the move made. Bit deep on the brakes there for Ram. And that's going to allow Rony the pleasure of gaining a position.
That's an unpleasant mistake to do when you're trying to defend, that you just brake a little too late and get a very wide line, and then you lose quite a bit of time, so it allows some other cars to pass as well if they're close enough behind you.
Yeah, indeed. I think, it's a very, very difficult corner to brake for. There are brake markers, and if you do enough practice, you can find your braking point. There's enough markers on the side of the road and also on the ground to pick a braking zone that works for you and hit that lap after lap, as Rick Cardle seems to be doing quite comfortably here. Magic has spun in the background, and he's handed a position to Rony, who gives him a flash of his hazard lights to say, "Thank you very much, teammate. I'll take that place."
Yeah, Rony very happy with that one. Also nice to get like what we call these free places up because someone else spins or crashes in front of you.
Absolutely. Owner has, well, clearly he is not really struggling that much with his tyres because twin cam, if anything, the gap between those two has gone up. It's an uncomfortable gap, certainly, for Owner. It's not nice being followed that closely by another car, is it, Miika?
Yeah, not really. But twin cam also using quite a bit of his tyres there behind Owner, so not doing that great either on his side.
No, it's often more difficult to follow. It's definitely more fun to follow in a scenario like this. I've had plenty of sweat falling off my brow around Rockingham, being chased by some very fast people in the past. Harking back to the City League days when we used to race at Rockingham, those were the times when the fields were super close and sweat was everywhere. Oscar is closing up similarly to the back of Next as he enters the oval, and this could be a move. Oscar with a slightly tighter line gets a better exit, but Next has already broken the slipstream, so no such luck for Oscar on this lap, but a battle worth keeping an eye on. Those two are pretty close. Fatal is doing a similar move, or trying to do a similar move on Oil Burner. He's much closer coming out of the final corner, Miika. This could be a move.
Yeah, this could very well be, especially when Fatal is so fast. They got a good pace difference between them. Fatal's already on inside. Can he manage to brake? Yes, and there's a car inside out from the pits. And they get passing cleanly. And Fatal does the overtake move. Pretty good there. To the corner.
Yeah, nice clean move.
Keeps Oil Burner behind.
Yeah, considering they had a car to pass that was rejoining from pits, that was Grankvist. They did a pretty good job of that.
It's always quite a bit of hazard when there's a suddenly third car involved that wasn't there before, so it kind of throws you off a little and you need to adjust on it.
Yeah, absolutely. We've got Oscar really close to the back of Next now. I wonder if this will be a move on the oval again. Quite early on the brakes is Next. He's giving Oscar some work to do. Needs to nail his exit. Oscar's got too much slide on. Next has gone a bit wide, but I think he might have done enough. Yes, he has. Next will keep that place into turn one. Oscar is just not close enough on this occasion. Too much slide, I'd say, between the two apexes of the final chicane, Miika.
Yeah, he tried to go for the good exit, but he overturned it on the first corner, so it ended up in a slide, and he's lost all the speed in there, third corner.
Yeah, all the speed just going away from the car, and as we head through the Dean hairpin, again, Oscar going wide over the sausage curb, getting a kick of oversteer as he joins the track again, and that's not going to help him in his battle with Next at all. Well, Next is going to be looking at this in his rearview mirror and thinking, well, if I can just keep this car on the road, I might be all right here in P9. But Oscar is a very, very quick driver, so he can't relax for too long as Next goes wide at Piff. And as we head into Gracelands, he's handing time back to Oscar.
Oscar seems to be driving the car a little bit like over its limit, so he could like maybe keep his head down a little and just go for a good strike, but he's concentrating too much on the overtake, so he's trying it just a bit too much.
Wide, yeah. So Oscar now has another chance to nail the final chicane. Let's see if he can manage it this time around. Second time lucky, maybe. He tucks in behind, just needs to follow Next through, doesn't need to push too hard. He is struggling with his tyres, is Oscar, and again, Next gets a nice line through the chicane. A wider exit, but that allows Next to get a little bit more speed, and again, he's broken the slipstream. No move on for Oscar this time either.
Yeah, Oscar was turning quite late into the first apex of the chicane, so he missed the second apex quite a bit, and that's what caused him to lose the speed again this time.
Soini won't be thanked by the caretakers of Rockingham Circuit as he takes to the grass around the entirety of Gracelands there. Fancies doing a bit of gardening. Does Soini, letting these cars through with ample room. and now turns on his hazard lights to signal to the other cars that he's being slower. No matter, he continues on with his race in P21. And our top four now have spread out quite significantly. There's almost 9.5 seconds back to Twincam. Well, let's take a look at the amount of pit stops that we have drivers making. We've got Fatal, the top driver, who has made a stop so far, up there in P13. So he is the top driver who has so far made a stop. But, well, he is some... well, how far behind is he now? 45 seconds. He's lost another 5 seconds to Rick Cardle since he pitted. So a lot of time is escaping him. So I expect that it doesn't really matter when Rick Cardle or Antti Valter pit. They should emerge comfortably ahead of Fatal, whatever happens. But I think cars all the way down to Twincam are going to be safely ahead of Fatal at this point in time. However, Miika, I have to point out that Twincam is dropping back from Ona now. 10 seconds the gap to the lead as well.
Yeah, he's lost a bit of his pace. His front tires didn't seem too healthy earlier. He was struggling a bit. And maybe he's just trying to go a little more conservative on the front tires and ease up on them so he can make them last for the whole race. But surely a gap is building there between him and Owner. Ricardo having already 5-second lead over Antti Valter on the second place. And that's very solid lead for this stage of the race. There's still a long way to go, but that's a very comfortable lead.
Yeah, it's extremely comfortable. Twincam's gap there of 10 seconds now to our leader, Antti Valter. Actually, he closed up at the end of the last lap. He's closed up slightly, but I don't know if it's going to be enough to challenge at this point. Next comes into the pit lane, which neutralises the battle between him and Asker for a little while. Asker remains on the circuit. Closely behind, we've got Zadoris coming up against what I believe to be 3Jump. This will be the battle for P10 at this stage of the race. As Zadoris goes for the move up the inside into Dean hairpin, and 3Jump will try maybe the cutback on the exit, but Zadoris has a nice line. He has the inside for Yentwood, and that will be job done. Nice move there for Zadoris.
3Jump still keeping up pretty close, looking if his tires can allow him to do any moves back on who is again Zadoris. But it's just a time matter to see if Zadoris can actually get away.
Unless I'm mistaken, I'm pretty sure that 3Jump has one of the oldest LFS licenses on the server. I'll have to look it up, but he's had LFS for a mighty long time in P11. So great to see him still out on the track and driving in top positions in a race. So great to see. I know he's a long-time supporter of RTFR, and it's good to see him in RTFR Excel in 2023. Rick Cardle is absolutely lighting the field on fire here. Another 7 tenths pulled out over Antti Valter on the last lap. Unbelievable pace. And Ona gets past one of the back markers. And he's extending that gap over Twincam even more. So Ona starting to turn the screws, even on Antti Valter potentially. Antti's only just up ahead. So Antti needs to be careful, maybe, at some point. On his tyres, just to make sure he can keep Ona at bay as we get into the close to the halfway stages of our 51 lap race around Rockingham ISSC. Chris is just reaffirming in my ear that yes, indeed, 3Jump has had LFS for a while. 2003, so it'll be 20 years this year.
Yeah, that's quite a long time already. I mean, I felt old when I realized that my Leaf for Speed account was created in 2009, but add 6 years to that, that's just That's a very long time.
It is a very, very long time. So, yeah, good effort. He's still racing in 2023. 20 years on. Rick Cardle, 6 seconds now, and I don't think we even need to look at him anymore because that gap is just going to keep extending until something happens. Maybe a back marker is going to trip him up at some point. Hopefully not, but goodness knows. I think the more interesting gap then is the gap between Ona and Valter. I think it's come down a little bit more yet again. 2.7 seconds then, the gap currently.
Yeah, and between them there is Nex, who pitted earlier, and he's going to let Owner through with the blue flags, obviously.
Yeah, Nex rejoins in P19, and looking at the timing, it does appear as though Owner is slowly gaining on anti-Valter. So this is a really, really great showing from Owner. It clearly has some talent in the FXO. Great to see as we head up to the second sector time. Let's see what the gap is after there. It's gone up slightly, so it's ebbing and flowing at this stage, but I think this is certainly a battle to keep an eye on throughout the race. Just trying to see. Go on.
Yeah, just saying that they are pretty equal with their pace, so it's going to be exciting towards the end of the race.
It will be indeed. They're almost the closest pair on the entire track. In fact, we have quite a spread of cars right now. And Owner and Twin Cam separated by only about. Sorry, Owner and Valter separated only by about 3 seconds at the moment. So one of the closest fights that we've got going on. We expect the front runners to make their pit stops close to the end of the race. We don't expect to see the leaders coming in anytime soon. However, if some of the drivers have maybe put less fuel in the fuel tank to get a quick start, maybe they'll consider doing a refuel halfway through the race to get a quick end to their race as well. Mind you, that will take a lot of time. It takes a lot of time to put fuel in the tank, but they have to do a minimum of 10-second stop anyway. So adding fuel is a good strategy to time the stop. If they need to change tyres, well, that's a different story. That will add extra time to the stop. But we'll see. It doesn't look like any of our front runners are suffering with their tyres to the point where they'll need to change them necessarily. But they're definitely not in the best of health. We've got some drivers with better tyres than others. Twin Cam, unfortunately, now beginning to struggle. The time is just going away from him at the moment, unfortunately.
Yeah, he's starting to lose already. His tyres are not feeling too well. Meanwhile, if you compare into lead, Ricciardo, he's still able to keep up the pace. He's got 6.5 seconds lead over Antivalt already. It's just magic how Ricciardo can do stuff like that.
Yeah, it's a heck of a gap to have 20 laps in. As we've got Pekka Koivunen now closing up to the back of Magic. World Class Lions versus Race Green. We've lost Teemu Soini in a rare scenario. Teemu Soini has left the race. That doesn't happen very often. So a DNF will be registered for him, unfortunately. As Pekka Koivunen, Soini's teammate, is lining up the back of Magic into Gracelands. A very inviting number plate, as ever for Magic there. It says "Pass me," as you can see. So Pekka Koivunen will certainly be trying to do that. Where will it happen? Will it happen in the Tarzan? No, not this time around, it won't. Where do you reckon he's most likely to pass?
I would say the hard braking after the pit straight on the, I guess it's turn 2 by numbers, actually.
Let's see, they both hit the apex. Magic bounces off a little bit more. Magic's tighter through the end of the Mickey Mouse chicane section, and he's got a good exit, so I don't think a move is on this lap. Pekka's going to have to tighten it up and get it done somewhere else on the lap. And hits the wall, unfortunately. As we've now got Fatal going for a move on 3 jump, and there's contact. 3 jumps been forced onto the grass. Needs to be careful with his rejoin. Oh, goodness me. But yeah, these two coming to blows as Fatal's trying to make up places as quickly as he can. He won't have wanted to go side by side with 3 jump, but alas, it happened, and 3 jump, unfortunately, has to pay the price.
Yeah, we jumped on quite late on that, so we didn't see what happened before the corner here, but maybe it's just a racing incident and that happens, and it's just unlucky sometimes. Hopefully it wasn't any intentional push or anything.
No, I'm sure not. But we'll have to wait and see. Texas here in P5 having a pretty lonely race. He's got 10 seconds ahead and pretty much 10 seconds behind as well, pretty much on his own. Michael Malik, similarly, he has a 10-second gap to Texas and about 5 seconds back to Falcon. And you can just see Falcon coming around the corner. He's being chased by Jari Kittila, the first of the world-class Lions posse. There's a lot of them taking part in Rony's Tuesday Fun races every year. Oscar, meanwhile, he is ahead of Zadoris. And, well, there we go. That is your top 10. Race Green's Zadoris is rounding out that group and trying to gain time then on the back of Oscar.
Getting pretty close already. Might go for a move pretty soon here.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, Zadoris is he's a fast driver, so is Oscar, so this could be an interesting one. The battle for the P9 spot. They don't have too much pressure from Fatal at the moment, but I reckon Fatal may have the pace over these two, so soon it might be the battle of a P10. I don't want to write the script, but Fatal looks like he's on a charge. He's absolutely dispatched with 3 jumps, so I'm assuming this gap's going to come down and down and down.
Zadoris didn't quite good exit from the last corner as he wanted, so he's probably not making the move yet on the start of the lap, but maybe later on. I wonder if Fatal will catch soon enough, so it'll be a 3-way battle. Depends, of course, how this battle unfolds between Oscar and Zadoris.
Yeah, Oscar runs wide on the exit of Dean, giving Zadoris a few cues that he might be under a little bit of pressure. And that is the pressure that he's currently under, nose to tail, as they head through Chapman on our way through to Piff, the better half of PAF. Around onto Gracelands now, and Zadoris is thinking about sending one up the inside here. No, surely not. No, he backs out of it. Oh, goodness me. Oscar gave him room initially. These two, well, they're going to come to blows at some point. Let's see if it's into Tarzan. Oscar not defending, but not necessarily attacking the corner either. Goes a little bit deep with the apex. Zadoris hooks the apex, though. Not good. Gets a wheel on the inside of that curb, and that slowed him down quite a lot.
That's a pretty brave move from Zadoris to go very early on the brakes and on the apex on Tarzan, because he can lose time on the straight afterward like that, and he might not be able to get close enough on the last chicane, as it seems he didn't.
Yeah, so that neutralises yet another battle, and it's as a result of the very tricky and demanding corners around Rockingham. I think Rockingham and the FXO is a brilliant pairing. Whoever came up with this, congratulations. This is real stuff. This is a real race, a real challenge. Front-wheel drive, heavy car around a brilliant circuit. And let's have a look at our leader as he goes past the pit entrance to complete half race distance. Rick Cardle will be completing his 25th lap, entering onto lap 26, and he's yet to stop with a 7.5 second gap over Antti Valter, the only other driver who is within 10 seconds of the lead at the moment. Ona just coming over start finish then. The gap to Antti Valter is still just under 3 seconds, so he's doing a really nice job of sticking with Antti.
Zadoris has just gone and moved off Oscar inside thirds and made it through. Let's see if he can stick it through the last chicane here and all the way through the pit straight.
Yeah, we missed it. Oscar was must have gone pretty deep on the brakes or something into Tarzan because he's given up the place.
Yeah, probably. Theodore seems to be all clear. He's got a pretty good gap ahead of Arska. But no time to rest for Arska. Fatal's closing in very close behind already. Only just more than 2 seconds between those two guys.
Yeah, it's going to be really interesting to see where everyone else emerges after they make their stop, because Fatal's going to be inside the top 10 soon, surely, and still is the highest placed driver who's made a pit stop. Still 52 seconds behind the leader. That is an unbelievable amount of time between Fatal and Rick Cardle. We'll see what it is when Rick Cardle pits. Still a long way to go in the race. But yeah, riding on board with Fatal, he looks like a man on a mission at least.
Yeah, he's doing the best he can from the bad start he had. I wonder how the situation would be if Vettel didn't lose all the places in the first corners. It would have been probably a much different scenario here.
Yeah, indeed, every single corner you can see Fatal gaining on the back of these two. First of all, he's going to have to pick off Arska. He's going to be pretty close as they emerge onto the main oval. A short shift there for Fatal. Doesn't want to put too much energy through the front wheels. He's biding his time. He's being patient. He's going to go for small gains in this race. He doesn't want to burn through his tyres. So maybe in the next lap or two, he's going to pick and move on World Class Lines Arska. Down to the Dean hairpin we come once again, heavy on the brakes, and a brilliant braking zone that is for Fatal. You can almost read the writing on the back of Arska's World Class Lines livery there. We head to Yentwood. Bit wide for Arska yet again. Next is Chapman, a tricky right-hander with a massive sausage curb on the apex that will shove you off onto the opposite grass if you get it wrong. Then we're going through Piff. Fatal choosing to take an earlier apex, goes a bit deep. Arska sends one of the bollards into the stratosphere and then into Gracelands. Is this going to be a move into Tarzan, Miika?
Yeah, it very much seems like. But how will Vettel manage it? He's on the outside. Can he do anything from here? Going very careful on the brakes, taking tight line inside the apex, and he's managed to get past Arska.
Oh, that was absolutely beautiful. Can he hold it into the chicane? Will he have a car ahead? Yes, he does. What a fantastic switchback that was. Timed it to perfection. Arska did a bit of a yielding slide just to kind of lose as little time as he could, and both cars forced quite low on the banking there for a back marker. But yeah, Arska tucked in now behind one of the back markers. That releases Fatal to chase down Zadoris.
Yeah, that was a very unlucky place to meet the back marker, since they went through the whole last chicane behind him, and that can slow you quite a lot there when you're so much faster, like Fatal is, compared to the whoever is in the red car of the back markers.
Yeah, the back marker actually makes contact with Arska. That's a really uncomfortable scenario to be in.
That seems to be Olbol, if I'm not mistaken, from the back markers.
Yeah, so Olbol needs to be careful not to interfere with the races of the cars that are up ahead, as we've got Antti Valter making a pit stop. So that's a little bit unusual. Antti Valter's come into the pit lane on lap 29, the beginning of lap 29, and rejoins. Let's see where he will resume his race. Fuel only going in that car. 10.37 second stop as well, and as he winds that FXO back up to speed, 3 cars rattle through. Some back markers there, no need to worry for Valter, but only Texas managed to get through. So we're going to get, oh goodness me, we've got some 3 back markers going into turn 1 side by side, and well, Valter's going to rightly honk his horn to try and get through here, Miika.
Yeah, he's not happy about this. He wants to get past him as soon as possible, so he won't lose time. But it seems like there is a battle going on. between these backmarkers, so I know it's hard for them to keep up the racing and trying to let Valde go here.
Yeah, it's Yasin versus Oil Burner. And we've got Rick Cardle catching backmarkers as well, but some more experienced backmarkers here, actually. Rick Cardle is coming up to the back of Pekka Koivunen and Magic. So those two are going to get out of the way, no problem. They are in a fight of their own. Pekka will yield to Rick Cardle, no doubt, as we've got now Rick Cardle has to get through Magic to put another lap on another car. And also, Fatal has caught up to the back of the race screen car of Zadoris as we enter the school straight for the 29th time of asking for these guys.
This is one of the battles that should be done and dusted as soon.
Zadoris pits.
Oh, Zadoris pits, and that's about it.
Yeah, Zadoris didn't want to lose any more time to fighting and decides to take his pit stop at the beginning of his 30th lap. Let's see if he can make a clean stop. Rick Cardle is dispatched of the back markers. Nice and easy there. Through Tarzan we go. The two, well, we've got some fighting going on between Pekka and Magic now that Rick's got through.
Yeah, Pekka's got up very close to Magic here. Seems to be close enough to pull a overtake maneuver quite soon. Magic seems to get a better exit from the last chicane, which gives him advantage over the start finish straight here.
Zadoris manages to get out of the pit lane ahead of his team manager Rony, just as you could see as they entered Dean Hairpin. Rony not able to get through on his teammate. Falcon is the leading race screen car who is yet to stop. All of the other race screen cars have made a pit stop and they occupy P13 through P15 currently. But yeah, interesting that Antti Valter came out of the pits miles ahead of Fatal. Fatal has not been able to make the progress he would have wanted to since his start of the race. He has 3 cars between him and the top 4. So a lot of work to do if he wants to make any progress. It's currently Michael Malik and who's that coming to the pits? It is Falcon. So Falcon decides to make his stop and he's putting fuel only in his FXO. And it's a 10.39 second pit stop. A nice fast pit stop for him. So some of the drivers using the halfway mark of the race to time their pit stop so that they can add their fuel without being at any disadvantage. Smart thinking.
That is pretty clever because you can use those 10 seconds to add more fuel without costing any extra time on the pit lane. So you have a certain amount of fuel that you can add on the pits and still not lose time. So you have a certain lap when you have to come, so you can use all of that advantage and run as light car as possible through the whole race.
Absolutely. We've got 3 jump lapping Olbol through Gracelands. There he goes. We jump in P10 currently, lapping the car in P20. So change for position there. Or in fact, a lapping there. So 3 jumps having a nice race, a nice opener to the 2023 season of RTFR XL. If you're just joining us, thanks for watching. We are broadcasting this over on Twitch and YouTube. If you haven't already, please hit the follow button on Twitch or the subscribe button if you feel like it, and subscribe to our channel on YouTube if you wouldn't mind. If you like watching our videos back the day after, or whatever your preference is for watching, we'd really appreciate a subscription there on YouTube. You can also like and comment on the video as well if you feel like it. We're watching Rick Cardle setting the timing screens alight once again, 11.2 seconds ahead of the rest of our pack as we enter the 33rd lap here. He's doing a stunning job of cleaning up shop here, Miika.
Yeah, pulling the gap over 10 seconds to even over 11 seconds now. That's crazy. It's like another of those races when just no one can match Ricciardo. It seems like.
Twinkham has made a massive error. He's made a massive error. You can guess what's happened, ladies and gents. Twinkham stopped in a pit box, but he didn't stop for long enough. He let the clutch out accidentally and pulled off of his pit box. And, well, essentially, after that, he knew he'd have to make a trip through the pit lane. And assumedly, out of frustration, unfortunately, retires from the race. A little bit unnecessary. The penalty wouldn't have been that big. And it would have been a good result for Twinkham if it had carried on. So, a little bit unfortunate to throw in the towel so easily for Twinkham there. He was on for a good result.
Yeah, he was in P4 so far, so it would have been pretty good as well. But I guess
P3,
it's just...
in fact, he was in P3, so he was doing a very, very nice job. He could have still got a podium. Yeah. So, you know, anyway, Twincam's out, unfortunately, as we switch to a battle between Magic and Pekka Koivunen once again. Oh, goodness me, Pekka Koivunen pitching the car up on two wheels. Sorry, Magic up on two wheels. And as we head into lap 34, Pekka has got a bit of a draft on the back of that car.
He's following very closely and might have a go here on the braking of the hairpin. And he's looking for it inside line, throwing his car all around. And he seems to be past Magic trying to go back on it, and Magic's back through. That was a hard send from Pekka going there. Couldn't quite keep it up around the outside line.
Texas is next to blink. He's in the pit lane, and he hands over provisional P3 back to Antti Valter. Antti has also been through the pit lane, just leaving our top two drivers, Asker, Jari Katila, 3Jump and Yasin, to make their mandatory 10-second pit stops in this race. And speaking of 3Jump, Falcon has managed to catch up to him. And we could have a move on into turn one again here, as Falcon is just about within the slipstream range of 3Jump up ahead. Not enough maybe, but he is in the slipstream. Oh, he might make it.
Depends how deep you want to go. We'll see. Falcon is very hungry. No, he's taking it.
3Jump brake way too late there, and Falcon will take the move. They braked at the same point, Miika. They were on the brakes at the exact same instant, and that's what happens if you miss your braking zone. Falcon able to swing through without even having to go for a dive. 3Jump made that very easy for him.
3Jump makes a mistake and Falcon just says thank you, and I'll just go here.
Thank you very much. I don't even have to deviate from my line. You're going to let me through quite easily through an unforced error. Owner, meanwhile, 12 seconds back from Ricciardo, is having a really good race, and he's come up to some back markers. I'm pretty sure he'll be quite glad to see some other cars in this race. It's Magic and Pekka Koivunen, that battle that's been raging on for a while. That is just ahead of them, as Jari Katila pits from P4. He comes into the pit lane, driving at the speed limit. He comes into the pit lane on lap 34. Let's see, what's he going to do? Fuel only going in there. So again, another pit stop being timed by fuel. As Texas overtakes... Sorry, Asker has managed to get ahead of Texas as well after Texas's pit stop. Not much time between those two, but time nonetheless. Jari Katila will rejoin slightly further down the order. We haven't talked about Thamuli at all this race, Miika. I'll let you take a little bit of airtime for him.
Yeah, well, he's done a pretty good job, like under the radar. He's gone up this P11, and he did the pit stop earlier, so that's all good for him. Tidori seems to be quite close behind him. Now there's just Ricciardo coming with the blue flags, already lapping these cars. But other than that, yeah, the family has had solid performance over the race. and he's doing a pretty good job today, for sure.
Yeah, he's doing a good job. He won't be too happy to have the race leader behind. I don't know. I've always measured my success in a longer race like this against the fact that if I could stay a lap ahead of the leader, stay on the lead lap at the end, then I always thought that was a pretty successul race. It's not fun being lapped, is it? But let's see what he can manage.
Yeah,
Rick Cardle still has to pit, remember.
Yeah, that's true. And the Hamley is usually not one of the cars that will get lapped. And I know that his personal goal usually for qualifying is to lose like maximum 1 second for 1 minute of a lap time.
That's a nice measure. I mean, it's nice to have these personal goals going into a race. It's all well and good being in a race with other cars, but it is also good to set your own personal, what you call your own personal benchmarks. Essentially, what result are you happy with? That's a way to motivate yourself, a way to keep track of your progress. As Thamudi loses a lap there to Rick Cardle, Thamudi can keep up with him, and when Rick goes into the pits, he can get through potentially. But that's going to be difficult because Rick Cardle is on a pace that is in a different league right now. We've got Texas and Asker fighting back markers at the moment. They go up the inside into Tarzan, both of them going through. Asker just ahead of Texas there. This is the cars in 5th and 6th place in our race. And, well, the back marker's getting well out of the way. Nicely done.
It was a scary looking forward there, but the back markers handled it pretty well. So it's now just two-way battles. So
yeah, fair play to our back markers here for getting out of the way, as Texas now has a run. Well, he absolutely has a run on Asker. Asker's getting all wobbly, always trying to break the slipstream, doing those weaving tactics as we head across start-finish. Asker goes wide. He doesn't want to give the slipstream to Texas. That's smart. Texas using the lower part of the apron. He won't get any mechanical advantage going that low on the Rockingham Oval. And, yeah, nicely defended there from Asker as we've got a car rejoining in front of them. It's Ram. And luckily, neither of those two go into the side of him. Ram getting out of the way of our two front runners there. And Rick Cardle sets another fastest lap, another purple lap in the race. (1:30.62), so absolutely rapid from our race leader.
Yeah, they did. What was it? 1:29 and 75 in the qualifying, if I'm not mistaken, was the pole time.
Yeah, roughly a second off the pace that they're doing right now. A second faster, sorry, which makes sense. They've got old tyres, they've got fuel in. So, but again, getting within a second of your qualifying time in race trim in an FXO is mighty impressive. Next car for Rick Cardle to overtake will be that of Jari Katila, just up ahead. Owner currently in P2. The top two in our race yet to pit still. So when will Owner decide to do that? Antti-Valter, well, he's the top car that's already pitted. And Fatal, after basically grinding towards the end of this race, finds himself in P4. He's stopped. He doesn't need to stop again. He has done a nice job to recover to P4 there, Miika.
Yeah, he's done absolute awesome job through this race. He lost a lot in first lap, many places, and then decided to pit, which was pretty good because that way he got a lot of free space to drive in. So he's just been going through the traffic there when he eventually kept up with them. And that's just, you gotta appreciate this from Fatal. It's a pretty solid result coming up from such a bad start in the race.
Yeah, I couldn't have said it better. Fatal, he would have been annoyed at his start but it's a good recovery up to P4. Oh, as we speak to Michael Malik, going through the final corner on 2 wheels and blasting the horn in disappointment. Well, it looked good, Michael, so don't be too upset. But yeah, he won't be happy. He's trying to catch up to the back of Oscar while not being caught by Falcon by the looks of it. As he enters the Dean hairpin, looking good. But yeah, 4 seconds he has to the back of Oscar. He's had good pace this race. Oscar has been a little bit up and down. So depending on how he gets on with his fight with Texas, which also seems to have fizzled out a little bit, it may allow Michael Malik a chance at getting back at these two. It's a pretty close group, actually, Miika. Only a few seconds between the 3 of them.
Yeah, it's quite evenly spread field, but Tidoris is closing on to Hamuli, and this is going to be a battle for P11 here. Hamuli goes a little bit on the 2 wheels here. Tidoris looking hungrily for the position and not letting go.
Yeah, the unmistakable engine note of an FXO. There's very few cars where you can just pick the engine note out, but the FXO is one of them. As we go through to Gracelands, and Zadoris made that look very, very easy. Thamuli gave all the space that Zadoris needed, and Zadoris moves up to P11 with that.
Well, looks like Zadoris might have a little bit more life left on his tires, and they're maybe doing a bit better. So there could be a difference between them.
Yeah, certainly. I mean, that's quite a pace advantage. Already only a couple of corners and the gap has opened up to about 1.5 2 seconds, probably 1.5 seconds actually, over Thamuli. So just needs to back off for a few laps and try and cool those tyres down, I reckon, as Rick Cardle has yet more traffic to deal with. Coming up to the back of 3 jump once again, I believe. No? Or is this for the first time? I'm not quite sure. I think it's for the first time. Yes, it is. As 3 jump, goes onto the grass and has to. Well, that made life for Rick Cardle a little bit more uncomfortable than he would have wanted. But you don't really have much of an option there, do you? There's not really much room to get out of the way.
Yeah, no, not in those corners. And that was Rick Cardle lapping 3 jump, who is actually on P9. That's just insane. Like, how many cars can Rick Cardle lap through this race? How many will finish in the same lap?
Yeah, at the end of this lap, we will have 10 short laps to go until the end of round number 1 of RTFR XL in 2023. Thanks for joining us once again in Live for Speed. If you fancy this sort of length of race and you want to get involved in the action, you can every 4th Tuesday this year. We're covering all 12 rounds of RTFR XL in 2023, so thanks for joining us. And if we don't see you in the chat, then we hope to see you on the server. Rick Cardle makes it 10 to go as he uses all of the road and some more, dropping down onto the apron on his way down to turn number 1. Yet more backmarker traffic, Miika. He is coming up against backmarkers all the time now. Such is his enormous pace that he has over everybody else. 15 seconds now over Ona.
Yeah, that's just some real traffic going on there. It's like, you know, the 4 p.m. when all the streets are like stuffed with cars. You're like, oh, this is what it feels like.
Yeah, Rick Cardle committed as ever, relying on the backmarkers to do get out of the way cleanly, and they do so on this occasion. Nicely done. And it's so smooth watching Rick Cardle. He's so gentle with the car, and you have to be in this car. It is true that to be fast you have to be smooth in the FXO. As I said at the top of the show, it is one of the most difficult cars to be fast in, to be consistently fast in, to keep your tyres alive, to nurture them throughout the whole race distance, and still be setting purple laps 40 laps into 50-lap race is super impressive from Rick Cardle. So gentle under throttle application out of the final corner, and that is why he's leading by such a distance. Smooth is fast.
Yeah, they say slow is smooth and smooth is fast. So that's what Riccardo is showing us here.
Yeah, I'm not sure my advice would be go slower through the field, but certainly be
that's
smoother.
what you need to start with. You need to start by going slow and trying to get smooth, and that's how you get fast.
Yeah, we can summarize all of that and just say don't overdrive it. It's the blanket term.
Yeah, exactly.
Overdriving is so easy in an FXO. It has so much power, and you just want to put your foot down to the floor and go for it. But your car will not thank you after 3 laps.
Yeah. You need to use the momentum of the car and let it just go through the corners and not pull it too much with the front tires.
Goodness me, Michael Malik locking up almost as he headed into Tarzan there. The car all out of shape, but he kept it together. And as he comes through the final chicane, it's looking good. Michael Malik doing a solid job there in P7. Not really in a fight at the moment. 2.5 seconds ahead to Oscar. It's still probably on if Michael can do a few consistent laps to catch up to Oscar. And not really too much pressure behind from Falcon. 7.5 seconds Michael's gap. As we speak of Falcon, Rick Cardle is going to put a lap over the race green driver into the Dean hairpin. There he goes, through on Falcon. And that means Rick Cardle has lapped everyone up to and including P8. And as you can see from this graphic here, we still have 3 cars yet to make a pit stop. Rick Cardle, our race leader. Sorry, 4 cars. Rick Cardle, our race leader. Owner, Oscar, and Mr. 3 Jump are yet to serve their mandatory 10-second pit stop. And we're running out of laps for them to do that. They can leave it right until the penultimate lap. They cannot do their pit stop on the final lap, of course.
Yeah, you just need to make the pit stop before the finish line. That's all the rule book demands.
As we're watching Yasin here, weaving through Pif-Paf, as we've got Oscar in the pits. Why was Oscar in the pit lane? What did he do during his pit stop? We'll ask Chris in the background. He did nothing in his pit stop. He did a 1.79 second pit stop, so unless he had a pit stop that was too short for his first pit stop, perhaps. Maybe we missed that, Miika, but it's potentially that Oscar had to do a very, very short pit stop in order to get the 10-second mandatory time.
Didn't we just go through the list, and I think Oscar was one of the cars with 0 pit stops, and that was his first, but it's still like too short.
Okay, well there's our confusion then. Yeah, too short.
He'll have to. So did the Hamlin now.
Yeah, he'll have to take a penalty or do another pit stop. So Oscar has thrown his race in the bin after a very strong drive, well inside the top 10. Unfortunately, now he has registered a pit stop, but it was only a 1.5 seconds.
Yeah, very interesting stuff going on here. That's some kind of mistake, or I don't know.
Well, he was very slow to get away, actually. Very slow to get away from his pit box. So I'm pretty sure he's realised his error as soon as he's let the clutch go. As Yari is in a fight. Actually, we just moved away from the battle with Oscar and Thamuli. Thamuli gets through on Oscar. Oscar is quite clearly contemplating what he wants to do. Does he want to take the penalty, or does he want to head through the pit lane once again? Does he want to finish this race cleanly with a full complement of 10 seconds? Yes, he does. 3 Jump in the pit lane as well. Hopefully 3 Jump doesn't make the same error. Oscar's going to go down the pit lane and do a 9 and a bit second stop. Zadoris is catching up to Yari. It's all going on at the end here, Miika.
Yep. This is a battle for the P8 here. They're closing on the braking zone of the turn 1 here. Zadoris looking for the inside line, and he's sending it quite deep in there. Can he keep it up? Catilla's trying to look for the switchback here, but doesn't make it stick in the end. And Sidorus goes through. Quite pretty impressive move here.
Yeah, lovely move. Pretty clean. Now we've got Thamuli also behind Jari Catilla. Thamuli might want to make a move towards the end of this race. Let's see. Asker just emerging from the pit lane after doing a second stop. Comes out all the way down in P15. He's going to be spitting feathers with that. His second stop was miles longer than it needed to be as well. So a little bit of a strategic error.
Yeah, maybe he just wanted to be sure that he's over the 10 seconds now after the 2 stops.
Yeah, for sure. Rick Cardle opts not to go through the pit lane, leaving himself with 4 laps to go after this one. And, well, when's he going to come into the pit lane? In fact, it'll be 5 to go as we come across the start-finish line. So he has 4 more opportunities to come into the pits as he sets another fastest lap. 30.53. Impressive.
Very impressive considering the state of the race, how his tires are at the speed of the race. It's a super drive from Cardle.
Yeah, an absolutely mega drive from him. Don't take anything away from the likes of Ona or Valter either. Just because Rick Cardle's in his own league doesn't mean these guys have driven a superb race either, as Ona is the penultimate car to head down the pit road and emerges actually behind Antti Valter. So Antti Valter has driven Belinder here and emerges in comfortably P2. So Ona rejoins in P3 as Valter takes up the position he had on the grid. Started P2, currently runs P2. And Ona and Fatal, I believe, did they start in that order as well? I think they were both on the second row in one configuration or another, so it looks like our first 2 rows are as they were, if I'm not mistaken. So a really nice drive from these guys. As best of the rest, if you want to call them it, is Texas for Master Race Car with Michael there as well. So a solid result if it stays like this for the MRC team, that's for sure. Nice team points. The prize money for RTFR XL is €150 to the fastest drivers, divided among the top few drivers on our overall championship standings when we come to the end of December. And yeah, I want to leave the camera focused on Ona for a little bit more because he's driven a really nice race. One of the up-and-coming talents in LFS, scoring at the moment what looks to be a very solid P3. So keep an eye on Ona this year, Miika. That's the word of the day.
Yeah, we will.
It's just our race leader that we need to see come through the pit stop. Expect the gap to the cars around Rick Cardle to be around about 20 seconds in the end by the time he re-emerges after his stop, which is an enormous gap to have after such a race. He's coming up to some back markers now. He might consider doing his stop now just to maximise or in fact minimise the amount of time he's caught up, but doesn't do that and stays out. So sticking to his initial strategy. I think he might want the slipstream actually, Miika, because he's going to definitely get past
he's
the car
for
ahead.
it.
Yeah. Oil burner pulls to the right hand side. No doubt he will lift off or not.
Not making it too smooth for him. Yeah, he goes wide and lets Cardle pass easily here.
There we go. Michael Malik is the next car. That will be all but 5 cars that Rick Cardle will pass. But I imagine Michael Malik will unlap himself when Rick pits. There's not enough time left in this race for Rick to pull a 10-second gap on Michael. I think Michael can breathe a sigh of relief. Having said that, I think that Falcon may also get his lap back. And so too, if he's lucky, might Zadorus. So we might have 8 cars that are still on the lead lap at the end of this one. Depends how quickly Ricciardo can manage the next 2.5 laps plus a pit stop. As we head into Tarzan, Michael Malik will be sweating. He won't want to be overtaken, that's for sure. It is a bit annoying to get laps. Even doesn't matter. Even if you're going to get your lap back after a pit stop from the leader, it doesn't matter. You don't want to be lapped.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. As he comes into the pit lane, Michael Malik.
Yeah, that's lucky for Michael. So he doesn't need to worry about getting lapped.
So when Ricciardo emerges from the pit lane, there will be 2 laps to go, and that was the most leisurely entrance into a pit lane I've ever seen from a race leader. So chilled. That was a 2-stop. Oh my goodness me, he's messed it up.
Oh no.
He's understopped. Oh my goodness me.
This can
what has he
change
done?
the whole thing.
This changes everything. Anti-Valter might be going on the top step of the podium. We'll have to see. There will be a post-race penalty for Ricciardo if he doesn't stop again. Does he have time to stop again? He should have time. He should have time.
He can come from this lap. He can come in again and
he's got the entire oval. It's going to be close. If he decides to do a legit pit stop again, it'll be close. The pit stop's slow. The pit lane is slow. He only has to stop for 8.5 seconds. But what on earth has he done there? Such a comfortable lead. And now he faces a post-race penalty, which may or may not drop him off the podium, or, possibly a battle for P, to keep his P1.
I guess he would go for the actual pit stop here and try to salvage as best as he can, because there's so big gap between them right now.
Well, last lap drama will surely be what we're going to get here. There's a 23-second gap currently. As Ricciardo will come into the pit lane. He's going to do it properly. Let's see. It's a 23-second gap. This is going to be close, Miika. There's nothing.
Yeah, it's going to be very close.
It's going to be close.
You have to follow and see when he exits pits. And Carlos stopping right now.
He hasn't done this just to give us something to talk about in the last 2 laps. This is a genuine error that Ricciardo has made. And as he starts to move again, it's... Oh my goodness me. Yeah, he's gone over the time as well.
You can already see Valter closing up from here. Behind.
Yeah, it's going to be Anti-Valter. Anti-Valter is going to be in the lead of this race, surely. Ricciardo has just gone up to speed.
Oh no.
Is Ona going to manage to get past as well? Ona wasn't far back, remember. This could be a battle into turn 1. Here he is.
Right here.
Oh my goodness me.
Carlos still ahead in the first corner. But Ona, he's looking for the second position here. He wants it since it's so close to being gifted to him.
Well, what an unbelievable turn of events that is. Ricciardo potentially almost lost out there on P2 as well. Oh my goodness me. Had he not stopped too long in that second pit stop, he would probably have still been in P1 just. So he has made a huge strategic error, and he's going to lose the lead of this race to Anti-Valter. Don't take anything away from him. He's driven a perfect race. The pit stop is still part of the race, Miika. It's still part of the race. You can't mess it up. Anti-Valter is going to win this race.
We already got 2 pit stop errors here. Actually 3, because Twincam had 1, but he spectated afterwards.
Yeah, well, Ricciardo made 2 pit stop errors. He stopped for too short a time and then stopped for too long a time. He had a 15-second lead, which evaporated, which hands the victory of round 1 of the 2023 season to an elated Anti-Valter. Comes across the line, flashing the headlights. Ricciardo will come across the line in P2. He's gutted, and well, understandably so. He threw that race away. It was his to control. He had absolutely no pressure at all to do his pit stop, and he bottled it.
I can't believe what happened. Like, how can one make error like that in such a position?
I mean, it happens to the best of us. It happens to the best of us. Rick Cardle said he had some mind fade, and well, that's an understatement, buddy.
Yeah.
P2 for you. Fragmaster's fatal after a recovery drive, pitted on lap 1, comes back to P4 where he started. Texas also finishes in a solid P5, a good effort from him. And Michael Malek in P number 6, good effort from him as well. But yeah, Antti Valter, he'll be surprised, I think, to say the least, that he's won this one, Miika.
That's one happy surprise for sure. And congrats to Antti Valter. It was a solid drive from him, and he did the bits correctly rather than Ricardo didn't. So that's what won him the race today.
Well, the first race of the year doesn't go the way of Sidus. It looked like it was going to for 50 laps, or what was it, 48 laps until Rick came into the pit lane. It looked like it was going the way of Sidus. And then, oh my goodness me. You just don't expect it from Rick. But it happens, It can happen to anybody.
Yeah, Rick's been so consistent like every race. But, I mean, anything can happen to anyone. So.
It can indeed. It happens to the best of us, as I said. And, we can now show the graphics on screen for an unlikely winner after the race we've just watched. But, anything can happen in any racing situation, especially in RTFR. Antti Valter is your winner of the first round of the 2023 season, the 73rd ever Rony's Tuesday Fun Race Extra Large at Rockingham ISSC in the tricky to drive, tricky to master FXO Turbo. 1 hour, 18 minutes, 0.13 is your finishing time. It was Rick Cardle who finishes in P2 in the end, who got the fastest lap, a 1 minute 30.51. Owner rounds out a well-deserved podium there. Fragmaster's fatal, unlucky off the start. Would have been interesting to see what he could have managed if he'd have had a clean turn 1. Finishes in P4, some 24 seconds off of our leader. Then it's the Master Race Car duo of Texas and Michael, the Race Green duo of Falcon and Zadoris, and Thamuli for ZFRL and Jari Katila for World Class Lines round out your top 10. Rony Krompush, the organizer, host, and man himself in P11. His teammate Magic in P12. World Class Lions, Pekka Koivunen and Asko round out the top 14, with 3 Jump finishing in P15. Then it's Oil Burner, Nex, Yasin, Olbol, and Ram, the top 20. On the final screen, we will see our final finisher, 3 laps down, Grankvist, followed by our DNFs, Twincam, who messed up his pit stop and decided enough was enough, finishing in P22 overall. Then it's Teemu Soini, Noel, Pablo, Lorenzo, and Igor, as we see Antti Valter climbing up onto his winner's lane mantle there, Miika. He had, believe it or not, in his tank, 0.3% fuel across the line.
That's a close call, but he did it. So.
Yeah, exactly. Timed it to perfection. Unbelievable.
Calculated, as one could say.
Absolutely calculated. And, you don't need any more than that, do you? So let's congratulate Antti Valter one more time on his victory here today. Absolutely epic stuff. That concludes the action for the 73rd ever Rony's Tuesday Fun Race Extra Large in Live for Speed at Rockingham ISSC in the FXO Turbo. This event has been put together by Race Green Events and sponsored generously once again by World Class Lions. We thank all of those guys for the time and effort they put into this series. We thank the drivers, of course, for providing us with an hour and 20 minutes of entertainment. And from Chris, McElroy, Miika Sarkinen and myself, Peter Butcher, and the rest of the Sim Broadcast team, we thank you for joining us this evening. And we hope to join you again for more RTFR XL action in a month's time. Let's flash up the graphics for that. There we go. On February 21st, we're going to have a combination chosen by our winner, Antti Valter. So stay tuned for the combo for that. There's still time to sign up for our soccer, our car football tournament this weekend. Friendlies are happening on Friday. The playoffs, the qualifying playoffs happen on Saturday. And the main live broadcasters tournament will be live on Sim Broadcasts, YouTube and Twitch from midday on Sunday afternoon. So please, if you want to put a team together, grab 3 of your friends and sign up as a team of 4 on the Live for Speed forum for the Sim Broadcasts Soccer Cup 2023. From Miika, Chris, and I at Sim Broadcasts, we hope you have a fantastic rest of your evening. We'll see you next time.